morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Manning Moore.
And I'm Trey Ram.
And here we have episode 11 of the Fresh Creatives podcast. We've got a pretty cool show for you guys. We got a great render for me. We have Trey getting really far along in his Banana App game, almost done with it. We got a cool discussion topic on failure, and we have kind of a light resource roundup at the end, but definitely good resources.
I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be a really good show. You want to show me what you got?
Yeah, so go ahead and start off with the game I've been working on. So last time I showed it, I don't remember what it looked like because so much has happened in the past week. Main thing I've been focusing on this week is getting the UI implemented and set up. So now you see that that's kind of working. I still have some screens to work on. And then we have a short character select screen so you can all join. And then finally you can start the game. And it looks very flashy and smooth. And then, so now we have the actual play space. And we've been working on implementing some of the art assets and trying to blend them together, which has been quite an experience. But in general, I think it's going really well. And yeah, at the moment, I just have a bunch of UI stuff to implement, and then I need to focus on polishing the game and fixing all of the mini bugs that we currently have. That's part of game development. It's just a long process of testing and working on stuff, and then testing and working on more stuff. So
these assets are looking really cool, dude.
Yeah, I can go ahead and exit the game and show you some more overviews. So this is kind of what the game is going to look like in the finished art state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we showed this last time or not. We've got like new kind of character assets for these little robot guys that attack you, which is super cute. Let's see what else. Yeah, we've got this like middle section here where you can collect some bananas to throw at the other player. So it's coming along really well. As you can see, we only have a few more modules to complete. And then after that, we should be pretty much good and just polishing and testing it to make sure everything works together really well. So
nice. Dude, that's looking really good. I'm impressed with all the assets and stuff. This is really nice.
I'm happy with how it's starting to turn out. It feels like it's starting to come together, which is always a really nice feeling for a project.
Yeah, dude. I like it. Well done.
Thank you very much. What do you got, Manning?
I have a render that I did. So I've been more or less inspired recently, one by Soul, which was a great movie, and it took place in Brooklyn, New York. I think it was Brooklyn. And that was really fun. And it had such a beautiful art style and
it really
such
did.
High detail. Like, it is incredibly high detailed. And so I was inspired by kind of the streets of there. And then one of the creative people that I follow, Olaf, I'm gonna mess up his name. Bloomerus? He has been doing kind of like a texture series on Star Wars, like textures and stuff. And it's been
Sounds interesting.
It's been really cool to follow. And so I kind of got inspired by doing like a look at the ground kind of render. And this is it. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's really fun. The C4D files, I don't know, kind of light. There really isn't much happening around in this frame. But it's really cool. I've been enjoying it. As always, I render off more passes than I use, but oh well. I'd rather have more.
It never hurts to have them.
Yeah, right. I'd rather have more passes than I need to use than have to re-render. Because that's always like...
How did you do those leaves on the ground?
That was... so that was from Quixel. They just had like a dead leaves pack, and I can just scatter it on anything. So I took this plane here, and I did what's called weight painting in Cinema 4D. Or... Sorry, that's in Blender. Vertex painting.
Yeah, it's
something like
same
that.
idea though.
Same idea. Basically, I had it. Hey, clump on this side of this plane and then clump on this side of this plane. And I randomized the position a little bit so that it could go a little bit farther out whenever it wanted to. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. I really liked it.
Using vertex painting to help weight randomly spawning objects on a plane is such a great technique. I've seen it used for textures in video games, especially if you're trying to create edge textures or something.
Yeah.
It's so useful to get that proper random look and then the nice kind of blend from having the texture to not having the texture.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah. So this was really good too. Yeah, it was really fun. It's an incredibly simple scene. So there's not really much to it, but it was always really fun to get kind of these more realistic looking ones. And just have it. I like it.
I mean, as you said, the focus of the scene was the materials.
Yeah.
Materials wise, I feel the asphalt is the weakest of all the materials in this scene.
Super glossy and bright.
It's super glossy and bright. I also feel it doesn't have the same amount of detail as the other materials.
Sure.
Like it looks like it's missing some of that detail. And then I sort of feel the manhole cover there. It doesn't actually look like a manhole cover. It just looks like kind of the shape of a manhole cover imprinted onto asphalt rather than being a manhole cover itself.
I don't think it is a manhole cover. I got it.
It certainly looks like it's supposed to be a manhole cover.
Right. Hey, honestly, when I was doing that, I thought it was too, but looking at it longer, I have no idea.
I mean, if it's not a manhole cover, I don't know what else that could be.
I don't know either. Maybe someone like accidentally. I know I got it from Polygon. Here it is. I'm trying to find it.
Free stuff.
I mean,
it's possible that it is a manhole cover, and they just maybe removed the color from it, the texture from it.
It just looks like I don't know. Someone imprinted a manhole cover.
Yeah. It looks a little weird.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that stands out in the scene, but overall it looks really nice. I love the lighting that you've got going on here. That's one thing that's always consistently good inside of your scenes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Let's move into our discussion topic.
Let's do it. What are we talking about today, Manning?
We are talking about failure, which is a really fun topic. And honestly, we might come back to it at some point because it's such an interesting one and such an important one to go over, especially as an artist. So we're talking about failure. What does failure mean? Well, it could mean a whole bunch of different things, right? It could mean you were not living up to whatever standard you have. You are not, not living up, but like you're not creating art to a certain level. You are not, your, let's see, client or boss or whatever is like, hey, you're failing or something like that. I want to restart this this segment.
Okay.
Because I don't know
yeah, it's
where to
a little
take it.
Weird. I mean, if you wanted to kind of kick it off to me, because I mean, I think, I mean, I have a few things I can say on it.
Cool.
And sort of flow.
It's gonna be you then.
What you want to say?
All right. Let's go here. Okay. Let's go ahead and dive into the discussion topic.
What are we talking about today, Manning?
So we are talking about failure today, and all kind of things about it. So let's go ahead. Let's Trey. Let's. Fuck. I can't speak.
You got it.
All right, one more time. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into our discussion topic.
Let's do it. What are we talking about today, Manning?
Well, today we are talking about failure, and that is a really big topic. It kind of covers quite a bit, so we're only going to do a little bit here. I'm sure at some point we'll talk about it again. But Trey, let's go ahead and get your take on this.
Yeah, so I think failure is an interesting word. I mean, it has a ton of different meanings. In different situations, failure can mean many different things, right? If you're working at a job, it could mean that you didn't deliver the performance expected of you at that job, or maybe you didn't deliver the type of art that the client wanted, or the client is unhappy. If it's maybe a more personal definition, it could be that you're not happy with the type of art that you're creating, or you're not at the level that you want to be. And so many other ways that you can define it as well, right? Because it's a very broad term. But the interesting thing I find about the word failure, I think, is that what is defined as failure is in many ways mostly a personal thing if we're talking outside of professional fields. And in like the emotional sense of like, I'm a failure, or my work is a failure, whatever. That's often very much subjective, right? Because it's me, when I'm creating art, I define a certain level that I think my art should achieve, right? And if it doesn't achieve that, I think it's failed in some way, or I feel as if it's failed in some way, right? And I don't know, that's sort of my general thoughts on it. It's very much a subjective subject, or a subjective term, I think. What do you think?
It definitely, yeah, definitely so. Every time in kind of the artistic world, whenever I hear failure, it's either I am not doing this to my standard, right? And actually, that seems to be kind of the big thing. It's a very personal thing, and I'm sure you have the hey, I'm your boss, and you're not getting this done on time or well, and that's not very fun failure thing. Or hey, I didn't complete this in time. That's not a very fun failure thing. But I think failure is okay, right?
Yep.
And that's such a crazy concept to some people, my wife included. Failure is okay. Outside of school, outside of university, outside of that, failure does not mean you're done, move on to the next thing. It shouldn't mean that. Failure is okay if you take what you failed at, you figure out what to learn from it, and you move on from it, and you use it. So let's take getting a commercial shoot done for a client, right? Let's say you have a limited budget. Let's say you have limited time. You do this, you do that. Product comes out not to a very good standard, but it comes out on time. Is it failure if the client still accepts the video and says, this is great? I mean,
Yeah,
that's subjective, right? If it's not up to your standards, you feel like you have failed.
Yep.
And that is, it's difficult. It takes a toll, because if you're not given the right amount of time to do this thing, and it's, this is just a constant thing of, oh, this isn't up to what I want it to be. It can take a huge toll on you as an artist. But I think the important part is, when you're done with something and you feel like you have failed something, you need to find out what you failed in. You need to analyze what has happened, find out what you believe you failed in. Take time to consider, how can I make sure this doesn't happen again? And push on into the next project, or into whatever else you're doing next, with the mindset of, okay, now I know.
Yeah, I think even though failure can be hard sometimes, it's a teaching moment, and it's an opportunity to learn and grow. And I also think taking a more objective view of failure, when you look at a project and you say, wow, this really was not good. This is not what I expect of myself. This is not what my boss expects of me. This is not what my clients expect of me. That feeling is not fun at all. It feels really bad, right? But I think taking an objective view and saying, how can I improve this so that it doesn't happen next time, is the healthiest way to handle that. Because as you also said, you have to move on. You can't get stuck in this negative cyclical mindset of, wow, I'm a failure. I can never improve. I can never get better. I'm always going to be a failure, because that's just not true. If you allow yourself to do that, it'll be true. But if you allow yourself to learn from your mistakes and grow from those failures, then you're going to eventually become the kind of person or the kind of worker that you want to be, right? At least happy with your work. I mean, as artists, I'll never be truly happy with my work.
Sure.
But there's a standard that I always want to achieve, right? And I know when I achieve that standard, I'm like, wow, this is actually not too bad. This is really nice.
Yeah.
And it's good. But yeah, failure is one of the hardest things to take. It always hurts, but I also think if handled properly and healthily, it's the best way to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, I'm immune to feeling bad when I fail. Hell no. I mean, let's see, just a few weeks ago when I was in quarantine, I felt like I couldn't do anything. Now, sure, that might have been a little bit because of COVID, but because, I don't know, I felt like I had no creative drive whatsoever, and anything I attempted to do, I hated, and I stopped doing it. And so for like 2 weeks, I didn't do anything because I felt awful about it. I felt like I couldn't do anything. I felt like I was failing. And finally, when I got out of quarantine, I was able to kind of shed that version of Manning a little bit, right? I was able to be like, oh, okay, I can breathe. I'm no longer locked to this place. I'm going to be okay. And then new things happened. I grew quite a bit. But looking back, right? You got to look back. Why did I feel like I failed so much? And take from that. Take from it. I don't like being in one space for an extended period of time. I like moving. I like going places. I like seeing people. And it's very difficult to do that right now. But that is the kind of person I am. So now, look, I know the kind of person I am. I'm an extrovert. I love being around people. Being around people boosts me to do better things in art and to just be kind of a better person. I know that. So, and I would have never done that if I didn't have the mentality of, okay, I need to figure out why did I feel this way and how can I attempt to prevent that from happening again, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a mind game. It's a mindset. You need to try to recognize what is making you feel this way.
Yeah. And if we shift to a more personal view or a more thinking about it less professionally and more just on personal project levels, I think personal project levels, in my opinion, I really don't think there's a way you can fail if you're working on personal projects. Because you work on a project, I know it sounds, I'll explain myself.
Okay.
You work on a project, right? And let's say that project doesn't quite achieve the goals that you want it to achieve, right? I still would not call that a failure. It may feel like a failure, right? But I don't think that's actually a failure. You're not failing if you do that, right? Because what you're doing is you're learning, you know? I mean, art is a process of learning. And if you don't allow yourself to make mistakes or allow yourself to create bad stuff, then you're never going to get better. And so you have to get over that fear of failure. People talk about a lot, like get over your fear of failure. I think when it comes to personal projects, for me personally, that fear of failure is actually just the fear of not living up to my own standards.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't get over that, if I don't allow myself to be okay with lower standards than I have, which in my head are unrealistically high, let's be honest, I'm never going to get to the level where my standards or where my work is actually at the unrealistically high standards. Because you can't wake up one day and just do work. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And that somewhere first requires you to throw away that voice inside your head that is afraid of not living up to that standard, or that is afraid of failure.
That's beautiful. Yeah. To almost like to grow as an artist, you have to understand that you're going to fail as an artist, and to not be afraid of that inevitable failure. Right?
Yeah.
Use it.
It's all part of the process.
It's all part of the process. It's so crazy how much art is like a mental game, right? And the more, I don't know, the more like resilient or positive mental state you're in, the better things are going to be for you, right? Something like that. It is, but it's definitely not easy to always be a positive artist, right? There's definitely some days where we're like, oh God, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
But having that mental capacity of accepting that you're going to fail something, and then overcoming that failure is huge. I mean, it definitely defines who you are as an artist, right? Do you want to be the person that's like, oh God, no, this is not my wheelhouse. I can't do this. I can't do this. Or, oh geez, I just started this, but I already hate it. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. Or do you want to be the person that's like, yeah, I'm comfortable doing this. Let's try it. Let's see what this is. Let's see what happens here. Oh, if I push a little bit more on this side, is it going to be, oh, no. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Try something else. It's such a mental game, and I think we go back to that almost every week. And I don't know if it's specific to art. It's probably not. All I know is just kind of the art world right now. But being an artist is such a mental game.
It is, and I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I may feel like that element of it is a little left out. People talk a lot about, you need to work on your art. I mean, it's all about the skills, right? But there's another element to being an artist, and that is working on your ability to handle those negative emotions that often come sometimes with being an artist. I actually was reading some studies that studied like creatives and how creatives handle things like negative emotions, and wanted to find out if that old saying, like, to be a creative, you have to be depressed, or, whatever, all these things, that stereotypes that people have about creatives, right? They found that that's not true at all. In fact, most creatives tended to do their best work when they weren't in a negative state of mind, and they tended to be more focused and be able to create and be more creative there. So I think that's really interesting, right? You have this assumption that it has to be negative, but in reality, it doesn't totally need to be negative. And I think maintaining a positive mindset about the work you're doing, even if it's bad, right? Understanding that it's part of the learning process, and that's just how things go.
Right.
I think art, more than many other fields, you kind of have to trust the process, because, I mean, for me, my stuff looks awful until like the final 20%, which is also like the final, I don't know, 10 hours of work on a 90-hour project,
Yeah. We're all just pushing to get to that last 10%, right?
Yep. The hardest part is getting through that last 10%.
Everybody's working for the weekend. Gonna get flagged.
Man, tell you what, I'm looking forward to the weekend. It starts tomorrow. It's going to be great.
Tomorrow. Oh, yeah. It's Thursday for me. It's Thursday morning for me.
It's Thursday afternoon for me, about 3 o'clock.
Man, everything's so fancy in Germany, isn't it?
It is, really is. I can recommend living in Germany if you haven't already.
Gotcha. Where in Germany?
Cologne's pretty cool.
Cologne's pretty cool.
Berlin's cool if you like party cities.
Who?
Berlin is cool if you like party cities.
Gotcha. I'm not a very party person.
Hamburg is nice, but it's very cloudy all the time. And
as
Munich is also very cool.
As a dumb American, do they serve hamburgers in Hamburg?
Actually, hamburgers came from Hamburg.
Okay, so yes.
Yes.
Cool.
So I find it hilarious actually that hamburgers are a uniquely or stereotypically American thing when they weren't actually invented by Americans.
Yeah. America. All right.
Well, we're getting a little off topic here. Do we want to hop over to the resource roundup, man?
Let's freaking do it. All right. So resource roundup. I found this list. So honestly, I didn't know this until I started reading this. Apparently, Gnomon Workshop is the parent partner of CG Channel, which is kind of cool. CG Channel is actually like a really cool hub for artists and entertainment stuff. So they released a list of 20 super popular Gnomon Workshop tutorials, and they looked really interesting, like Intro to VFX and Unreal.
That's a good one. I've done that.
Yeah. Photoreal interiors, anatomy, modular environments, vehicles. I mean, stuff like that. There's a whole bunch. And everyone knows Gnomon Workshop is like super high quality. So getting these all kind of in a single list right here is really cool and useful. So go ahead and check that out and watch all these tutorials because they're probably hours of fun.
Every time I look at tutorials from the Gnomon Workshop, I always wish I had the money to pay for it.
Sure. Yeah. I totally get that. I feel the same way about like FX PhD or Learn Squared. Learn Squared is crazy. I found this Substance Source, which is like I have linked their free assets that they have, but it's like a repository for a bunch of Substance materials, which is really cool. So if you're interested in some of that, here's some free ones. And that's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of those look really nice.
Yeah.
And if you're also interested in free Substance materials, you can go to Substance Share, where people in the community can upload their own stuff. Things like brushes, materials.
And this is free?
Whatever. Last time I used it, everything on this was free because it's uploaded by the community.
Oh my gosh. This
rather
is so
than being
cool.
uploaded by Algorithmic or Adobe.
Yeah.
Maybe things have changed. I'm not quite sure. I haven't used it in a couple of months, so I'm not totally sure what the current state of it is.
Yeah.
They've changed their entire website design, I'll tell you that much.
This is cool. Okay, so everyone, if you want materials, this is pretty sick. So go grab some. I'm really impressed. Okay.
It is.
This one is a video from Corridor Digital. Everyone loves Corridor Digital, right? Yes. So
Corridor Digital is fantastic.
Yeah. So in this one, they talk about roto techniques and using AI for new rotoing. And I thought it was really interesting video to watch. And here, this is basically what happens. And it's like really impressive AI rotoscope. So I thought this was a really cool video. They also include links to how they did it. So if you need a really quick and AI powered way of rotoscoping, that could be really interesting. I know I shared it with my boss and he was like, yeah, let's look into that. So whenever we're not working on a movie, we're going to be like, okay, how can we use this and make it stronger? So that was really cool.
Rotoscoping is one of the most annoying things in the world.
Oh, yeah.
It just takes so much time to do it manually.
Yes. Okay, and this last one I thought was really interesting. I stumbled upon this. If anyone doesn't know who School of Motion is, check them out. super awesome resource for classes. Do workshops. They have really great tutorials and really cool and useful blog. And that's where I found this. And it's all about crypto art. And if you don't know what crypto art is, please read this, because I was kind of blown away with the concept of crypto art. So yes, please read it. It's really interesting, and definitely I feel like it could be the future of not only motion design work, but just like digital artist work. It's really, really interesting read. Yeah, I might go back and read it again because it's like really funky. Okay.
I'll have to check that one out after we're done here.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I think that's all I've got.
Well, that's everything that I've got for this week.
Wow, we are all done. I guess that means we're done.
That wraps it up.
That wraps it up. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in some more of these, we upload every week. And if you would be so kind, go ahead and subscribe to us, because, you know, that's what you do when you're on YouTube.
Subscriptions are cool.
There's
And they help you get notified about when we upload.
Yes. And we
And
get
also-
to know about our audience, which is cool. More audience participation and stuff like that. So if you're interested, please consider subscribing. That'd be really fun. Check out some of our other episodes. We have a whole bunch. We have 10 other ones, which are jam-packed full of fun and creative stuff and excitement. So check those out. Check us both out on our respective artist pages. You can find Trey Ram at Trey Ram at ArtStation at the search bar at ArtStation. You can find,
There'll be a link in the description.
Yep. You can find
Should
me.
be easier to click that.
You can find me on Instagram at Manning_more. And I don't know, a slew of other places that I don't really keep up with. I really just kind of post on Instagram. Yeah, I think that's about it. You good?
That's all that I have to say.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, we always appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. And I guess that's it. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and goodbye.